I think what inspires me the most about collecting vintage and antique jewelry is the craftsmanship and design. To me, they are little works of art that will never decrease in value and will only become more rare, and they deserve to be taken care of and conserved so that they can be passed on to the next custodian in the condition that we found them in. Hi, I'm Dawn. This is Hudson Vintage. On today's episode, I'll be sharing with you some of the early finds, some of the earliest pieces I added to my collection, why I added them, and why they're still in my collection after all these years. And I'll also be sharing 3 of my personal top tips for how to start or build a collection. One of them, at least, I know you haven't heard before. Some of these jewels are more noble. Some of them are centuries old and fine jewelry, and some of them are more mid-century, mass-produced 1970s fabulousness. And I love them all equally. And that brings me to my first tip, which is the one I know you haven't heard before, and that is think about the art that you like when considering starting a collection. Do you like the modernist sculptures? Do you like Picasso, or do you like Monet or Vermeer? I have a thing for mid-century art, especially the sculptors. If you like art like that, I would say check out Art Smith. Check out the mid-century sculptors that became jewelry designers. Alexander Calder started out as a jewelry designer, and I love Art Smith, and this is, of course, it is a dream of mine to own an Art Smith bangle, but in the meantime, I found this, and this is one of my all-time favorites. This is Ribajes, and it's from that era, the jazz era, sort of. This is a really rare one, and it's copper, and it's handmade, mid-century, with the musical form, and it's fabulous, and I'll always have this until it's time to pass it on to the next person who I know will be the custodian of it and take care of it.
And I've kept it because I've just watched it increase in value as awareness grows for Ribajes jewelry, and it's worth about $500 now. This is the oldest piece I have. This is Georgian. It's pre-1800. It's French, but I still call it Georgian. And it's got tiny split seed pearls and rubies, and it is gold, but it's, very primitive in the way they worked it. You can see the soldering, and the closure is really simple. This is hinged, and it could go just all the way around, but then it catches on the ruby on the other side, and that's how it's worn. And the portrait is lovely. It's probably painted on shell or ivory, but this is, again, pre-1800. So a remarkable piece. This is the oldest piece in my collection, and it's still so wearable today. Here, see? Now it's locked, and it's actually really comfortable even when you're working on a computer. The last time I looked this up, it was worth $2,500. I think when I bought it, I paid $180. So if you want to know why I keep what I keep, part of it is because it's increasing in value. That's one of the factors. And sometimes it's sentimental. Sometimes it's just because I don't know what else to do with it. This is one of those. This is, look at it. See how it's gold on the back and then not gold on the front? That's actually platinum. Those are rose-cut diamonds and tiny emeralds. And the bail is so small that I have it kind of looped through this paper clip chain that it's on. The chain's also platinum with a kind of gold clasp that's aged significantly. And this was given to me by a woman. She was like European royalty. And she had a black bag from her great-grandmother of little jewels like this, and they were so tangled. This was in my 20s. And she asked me if I could untangle them, and nobody ever could. And so, of course, I did. And so she gave me this, and it was like this on the chain. And it was a thank you, and it was missing an eye. So I went to a special person because I knew I needed the tiniest rose-cut emerald you could ever get. And he said it was Faberge. So I kept it for a long time, and then I tried to get in touch with her to return it. She actually runs a foundation now for the Friends of Georgia in Russia. And she just never responded. So I feel like it's mine. And now actually I can sell it. I could probably use the money. It's not worth as much as you would think because it's only, it's so small. And those are just the tiniest little chips. They're very sparkly, but they're tiny. The last time I looked that up, that was around 2,000 or 3,000, somewhere in there. This is also ancient. It's on a strand of pearls that I strung myself. This is Georgian as well. They are tiny natural seed pearls strung with horsehair on shell that's gold. They actually had to sew these on, and it's so beautiful and delicate, and I love the stone in the center, but it's very old and beautiful, and the last time I looked that up, that was around $2,000. Because of the condition that it's in. It's in extremely remarkable condition. There's just absolutely nothing wrong with it. There is something that's not here that might have been a pendant or just a larger pearl, but because of where it is, it's, irrelevant. This one I kept because it turned out to be Mikimoto. I found this in a thrift store in my 30s. You can tell that the pearls are really special. It's on sterling, so they didn't bother to check it. And I guess I didn't realize that Mikimoto was also on sterling. And then I love the oxidation of it. It's a great pendant. There's the back. There is the marking there, which I will show you a close-up of what that looks like. Isn't it beautiful? I paid, I want to say, $25 or $30 for it. And the last time I checked, it was worth about $500 or $600. This is a little bit newer addition to my collection. This is a Peking glass and gold-filled wide bracelet from the 1930s, and it's really beautiful on the wrist. This came in a lot from an estate sale. I've mentioned it before. It was the best lot I'd ever seen. There's only been 2 in my life, and this was the first one. I think I paid $800 for it, and there were several pieces in it that were actually worth $800 just by themselves. This one is probably worth, last time I checked, this one was worth about $350, but I don't think I'd ever sell it. I just love it so much. The same thing goes for this. They actually clip on this way. So it looks like a heart, but it actually sits up, it's sort of more upside down. This is Mazer Brothers. This is 1940s. It's gold over sterling. There's the mark there, Mazer Brothers. And this is the necklace. Isn't that beautiful? Look at those beautiful rhinestones, like they were made yesterday. And I got this when I was just starting my collection before I had my shop. I got it from another shopkeeper or dealer. And I think at the time I paid $240, and I've watched it increase in value. It's now worth, early Mazer Brothers and sterling, if it's a good set and good condition, is really increasing in value. And this one is now worth about $850. That's my second tip, is to buy the condition that you can afford. Buy the best condition that you can afford to get. These I wore probably every day for a long time in my 20s. They were being sold as cultured pearls. They are actually Tahitian pearls with a blue cast on a 14 karat gold rope. The studs are much newer, and the reason I was able to purchase these in my 20s is because they are actually earring jackets. That's another way when you're starting your collection is look for things that you can rework. I paid about $75 for them on eBay, and they're worth about $600 now. And this is one of the pieces I've had in my collection the longest. This is German. It's black onyx, silver, and marcasite, Art Deco period, on its original chain. This I kept just because I love it so much. The length of the chain is really long, which is very unusual. And this is the first Art Deco piece that I ever bought, so it's just very sentimental to me. And I think I paid $75 for it at a flea market, and it's worth about probably $300 or $400 now. These are very special. I know you're waiting for me to get to these. When I bought this, I thought this was natural blue topaz. The person I bought it from thought it was natural blue topaz. It turns out that this is natural alexandrite. This chain that is on, it's just a chain so that I can wear it. And I wanted to put it on a sturdy chain, so it's actually a costume chain. I didn't want to risk it on a tiny, delicate gold chain. So there it is, looking like blue topaz. I will try and get a better shot of the color change. I am Hudson Vintage on Instagram and Facebook, and I have a Patreon set up. And it's actually a membership model, so there's 4 different tiers, and there's something for everyone, from the casual collector that needs regular evaluations to consultations for business people. So that was a stroke of luck. That is a high carat gold, and this is very typical Edwardian style. So it's between 1901 and 1915. And those are split seed pearls and a natural pearl and tsavorite. Next up is the Victorian opal, incredible festoon. Look at this. Look at that. Look at the design of it. Look at the gold. Just a very perfect example of Victorian festoon necklaces. It's so fine. It's so still perfect. Again, I got this before I opened my shop, and I got it from a friend who had a shop. And that's another good tip, actually. If you have a relationship with a shop owner and you become a regular, they won't mind when they need to, maybe not ask top dollar. They won't mind giving it to a person who shops there often because it is part of the relationship. You take care of your regulars. So anyway, it's absolutely gorgeous on, and I bought this from them for about, I think it was $450, and it is now worth about between $1,500 and $2,500. So a good investment. And then we have this. This is one of my favorites. This is 1970s Monet. It has a name, which I can't remember right now. And it's a pin pendant, and it's fabulous just as a pin. And the amazing thing about this one and why I always kept it is because it has its original chain, which is really rare and hard to find. And I love that they're both still together, and they're fantastic like that sort of bamboo starfish brush gold 1970s gorgeousness. Look at the scale of it. And I think I'll just keep that forever. I don't think I could sell it for enough to want to sell it. It's funny because with the more high-priced items, sometimes you just want to make that sale. But if it's something like this, and because it's so special to me, I'd rather keep it. This is one of the best things in my collection. This is the bracelet. That's the necklace. This is Duget. It's Art Deco sterling, gold over sterling, like a gold wash with pastes. There's the necklace. It's a really lovely, well-made, just the height of Art Deco. Duget is a very rare find, and there's the marking. And the fun thing about this is it's designed so that it lays on a perfect circle. It lays on the neck in a perfect circle, as you saw. But you can also take the bracelet and add it to the necklace. The clasps are the same, and it keeps its shape when worn. It keeps that perfect laying flat circular shape. So it's just completely remarkable, beautiful. It's heavy sterling and gold, and it's Art Deco. Look at the links. It's just really, really fine. And I found this one as an early collector. I paid under $300 for it. And Duget, Art Deco Duget, it's in very good condition. It's missing one stone. This is worth between $500 and $600 now. So a good increase. Don't forget to subscribe, click like, and ring the bell. I also have Instagram and Facebook as Hudson Vintage, and I just set up my Patreon.
Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for your support. See you next time.